I'll be showing you all the best strategies for how you can get better at Fortnite as fast as possible. And we are starting now. What's going on, guys? My name is Storm Ranger, and welcome back to another one of my videos. If this is your first time here, you want to learn how to get better at Fortnite, complete your challenges, and improve at all sorts of other Fortnite related things. Start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss out on anything. So in this video, I'll be going over a wide variety of different things that you can use to get better at Fortnite. Personally, I use these strategies when starting the game out, and allowed for me to get pretty good at the game in only a short period of time. Now, the very first strategy that I recommend that you use to get better at Fortnite is to play within the game mode Team Rumble. Now, Team Rumble is a permanent game mode within Fortnite where two teams of about 20 players fight against each other. The first team to get a total of 100 kills wins the game. And this game mode is really good because you can respawn within the game. So if you're starting out at Fortnite, it's a great way to get better at the game. Because in the game, you're able to constantly get into fights, and constantly fighting opponents, and of course, by doing that, you are practicing at the game. If you're just doing a normal game of solos, there are at least 3 or 4 minutes between every fight. And of course, if you're not very good, you're likely dying in every fight that you get yourself into. However, in Team Rumble, you can be in a fight every 20 to 30 seconds, even if you're constantly dying. This is because when you respawn with all of your items within only 5 seconds. Anyways, Team Rumble is such a great game mode. Personally, when I switched from playing on console to playing on my laptop, I just played 20-30 games of Team Rumble. It's the only game I did because when I was in solos, I knew I would die. However, after those 20 to 30 games, I came and did solos and actually found myself doing pretty well. In the span of only a week or so, I went from barely knowing how to play on PC to being a very comfortable player, better than I even was after playing over half a year on console. So definitely, if you want to get better at Fortnite, make sure that you're playing in Team Rumble. Now, my second strategy for playing Fortnite is regarding when you're actually in a game of solos, and this is to push every fight that you see. If you want to get better at Fortnite, the last thing you want to do is camp the entire game. Because when you're camping, you are not practicing. When you're camping, you're simply doing nothing. You're going to spend 10 or 15 minutes in a game only to get into one fight at the very end. And of course, if you have little practice with actually fighting opponents, you're going to lose that fight. Winning in Fortnite does absolutely nothing except for giving you some XP, maybe a victory umbrella, and increasing your stats a little bit. But other than that, winning does nothing. Personally, I find the most fun in killing opponents. So of course, in a game of solos, make sure that you're pushing opponents, because you're not going to get better from camping in a bush, but you will get better from fighting opponents. But of course, be smart. For example, don't land on hot shot immediately off the battle bus. That's a mistake that I've made way too many times, because the early game of Fortnite is often very hectic and luck oriented, so because of that, you're not getting in fair and even fights that you have a good chance in, and even if you do win a fight, you will likely be third partied. So of course, land somewhere you know well, when many opponents aren't going in the early game, and then when you actually are in a game, be smart when you're pushing fights. Don't push a massive build fight when you're not a confident builder. Don't go somewhere where you know there will be a lot of opponents. Don't push any fights when you're low in health. Just be smart, and as long as you're being smart and pushing the right fights, you should be able to improve pretty fast from doing this. Now, a third recommendation for how to get better at Fortnite is to, whenever you die, ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Now, I know this sounds really simple and like it's not going to actually be very effective. However, from personal experience, I can say this is incredibly effective. Because by asking yourself this one question, looking back at what you did during a fight, what things you did well, and what mistakes you made. And what you want to do is learn from those mistakes. If every time you die, you jump into another game and you don't look back on your mistakes, you're only going to repeat your mistakes. However, when you die within Fortnite, you want to look back, see what mistakes you made, and where in that fight things went wrong, and figure out how you can do something different next time. In fact, if you can, I would recommend recording your gameplay and rewatching all the fights that you've gotten yourself into. For the fights you win, figure out what you did right in those fights. Figure out what allowed you to win those fights. And for the fights you died in, figure out what mistakes you made. Figure out at what part you lost and you managed in your fight. Trust me, looking back at your mistakes and seeing what you did wrong and what you did right is incredibly effective, as you can learn from your mistakes, and in future fights, not make those same mistakes, but instead do things that allow you to win those fights. Now, my fourth recommendation for how to get better at Fortnite is to play the game consistently, and if you can, every single day. Because Fortnite is a game that is constantly changing. For example, if you haven't played Fortnite in the past 2 or 3 weeks, you'd have come back seeing all these brand new updates, these new locations, and you'd just be completely baffled. The meta is always changing, so you want to make sure that you're always on top of it and that you're always adapting. But more importantly, you want to make sure that you're staying in practice. Because video games, just like everything, requires practice. For example, playing Fortnite for 10 hours one day, you may get slightly better, however that 10 hours will be better spent as 1 hour a day for 10 days. Now, if you do anything consistently, you will get better at it. As long as you're practicing it every day, for anything, you will get better at it over time. So of course, if you really want to get better at Fortnite, make sure you're playing the game consistently. Now my fifth and final recommendation for how you can get better at Fortnite is to play in Arena. And of course, when you're in this game mode, make sure that you're not camping. Because in case you're unaware, Arena is a competitive game mode for Fortnite. When you kill people and get placement, you will get points, and with points, you will level up and go against players who are even better at the game. So of course, I recommend that you play in Arena. And as I said before, make sure that you're not camping. Because personally, I camped in the game. I now am almost in Champion League, but it means nothing. Because people who I'm going against are significantly higher on my skill level, I'm afraid to get into a fight. You should not do that. Play the game how you play any other normal game mode, make sure you're fighting opponents, and make sure that you're playing smart. Because ideally, while you might not get the champion, you'll be going against players of your own skill level. And when you're going against people who are your own skill level, you're able to practice. You're not going against people who are too easy, you're not going against people who are too hard for you. You know, every single time that you kill an opponent, you're killing someone who is just as good as you. Anyways, not many people talk about Arena. It's just so important that you're going against people who are on skill level because you're being challenged. When you're being challenged, you're able to improve. This should allow you to get into like big fights, big build fights, and you can always, of course, look back at those build fights and figure out what you did wrong and what mistakes you made to make sure that you don't make them in the future so you can constantly improve. So definitely, if you haven't been doing this already, make sure that you're playing in Arena. Anyways, that has been my top 10 mojo count for what strategies you incorporate to get better at Fortnite in only a short amount of time. Now, if this video helped you out, you may be interested in another video that I recently made on how to level up within Fortnite. If you want to watch that video, just click this annotation you can see on screen now. And if you want to learn how to get better at Fortnite, complete your challenges, and improve at all sorts of other Fortnite related things, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss out on anything. All you must do is click this annotation you can see on screen. Anyways, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.